Thank you, Chair. Thank you for appearing again tonight, and congratulations to you, Mr Heffernan. I don't think we've seen you since your appointment. First question is about foreign buyers of real estate. Radio 2GB reported in April that foreign buyers accounted for 11% of newly built homes in the final quarter of last year. This is a disaster for Australian home buyers. Can you please provide that data for each quarter over the previous 12 months, the proportion of newly built homes bought by foreigners?
So, I think the 2GB article would have been using the National Australian Bank.
That's my understanding.
Right. So, as I think I've talked about at the committee before, there's a number of differences between the National Australian Bank survey and our data. So the National Australian Bank is a survey, so it asks real estate and other real estate professionals to estimate, and I think the exact question in that survey is overseas buyers.
Okay.
Our numbers come from state and territory land title offices, matched against Home Affairs data, Australian Electoral Commission data. There is a very significant gap between the numbers that appear in that survey and the numbers that we get. Our numbers are based on the definition of a foreigner under the Foreign Acquisition and Takeovers Act, and I think we released last week the 22-23 numbers, which would put the estimate at around 1%.
Thank you. Moving on to the First Home Super Saver Scheme, I'm quoting from the eligibility requirements in Guidance Note 2018/1. Quote, "There is no requirement for you to be an Australian citizen, Australian resident, or an Australian resident for taxation purposes." End of quote. Why are we allowing foreigners, not even residents for taxation purposes, access to this scheme, which is meant to be for getting Australians into their first home?
Senator, that would be a policy question for our colleagues at the Treasury.
It is a policy question for Treasury, but it's the appropriate group for it to be directed to is Markets Group. That is administered by our Retirement Incomes and Advice Division in Markets Group. We can take it on notice and have them to provide a reply.
Thank you. I just want to come back to foreign ownership again. Question on notice SBE 106. In Table 3 of that answer to question on notice SBE 106, in Table 3 from November estimates, through the Department of Home Affairs Visa Data Matching Program, how many of the real property transfer report entity records that are automatically matched to ATO records are foreign?
So I think as we've answered previously, we're not able to... Those two sets of numbers, the question was how many do we automatically match, and then how many do we have to go away and do additional things to match. So
coming to that.
If you think about it coming through the system, it's an exact match, that's all automated. There'd be a range of circumstances where we don't get an automatic match. It could be like the date of birth's the wrong way, it could be a maiden name. In those circumstances, we have additional processes to match. What I will say is we work down through every record. In the automatic matches, there will be some foreigners. In the ones we can't automatically match, there will be some foreigners.
So what percentage?
I can't, we don't, at that point...
So you can't tell us?
The numbers in that answer to the question on notice were addressing how many we automatically match versus how many we perform additional...
Correct. So how many were matched as foreigners?
Well, I suppose then, if the question is about the compliance results we get, they're published.
My question is about what percentage of buyers are foreigners?
1%.
So how many does that translate? Could you provide me on notice the last 5 years, the numbers of foreign buyers?
So we published that. I've got the latest.
Okay. If you can take it on notice. 5 years,
take it
please. From Table 4, immediately below that, the same question on notice from November estimates. How many of the entity records that were not able to be automatically matched to ATO records remain unverified or unresolved?
None, Senator.
None. Okay. How many unmatched records from the data matching program remain unresolved from 2018 to date?
I think that's the same question.
I want to go right back through 2018.
Yeah, I think I'll take that one on notice.
Thank you. How many residential properties in Australia are today owned by foreigners?
So that, I think, is the question around the register.
I just want to know how many foreigners own real estate.
So I think
Because we've got a housing crisis. We've got people in Brisbane, all up and down the east coast of Queensland, in major major provincial cities, sleeping under bridges, in cars, taking families home.
I think it's very simplistic to say that housing shortage is a result of foreign investment in residential housing. We've had a number of hearings where you've been told how low, relatively low, that level is in comparison to
I'd like the exact
non-foreign
numbers.
owned, and we'll provide that number to you. But the link that you are saying that it's because of foreign ownership of properties that it equals some of the what you've been talking about and is a real issue in Brisbane is not right. And, the issue is supply. We've got to build more houses for people.
Minister,
Not
I've never
blame
said it's entirely
foreigners
due to
for it.
foreigners.
Not
But that is
blame. We need to make sure the rules are tight, that there's restrictions in place, which there is, so that that arrangement works properly. But it's not fair to say the housing crisis is because we've got
I didn't say
some small foreign.
I said that's one contributing factor.
I'll just do some committee sort of administration here, and I'll table 3 documents, 3 articles referenced by Senator O'Neill earlier. Committee's agreed to a time management plan to conclude questions. So, last question, Senator Roberts.
Okay. Chair, I'd just like to make the point that the witnesses providing answers so late in the past that they're distributed at 8 p.m. the day before they appear in Senate estimates, 100 days after the last hearing, and failing to raise any public interest immunity claims on answers they don't give. That's a clear frustration of the committee's work.
We will try and do better, Senator Roberts. We have had a long discussion about the amount of questions on notice which are coming in, which have to be managed by departments, but I agree it's an important accountability measure and departments should work to meet the timeframes.
Minister, when it's 100 days, it's way late, and it suddenly comes in at 8 p.m. on the night before?
Yeah. I
We can't use it.
understand your frustration.
Thank you, Senator.